A year and a half after The Brave and the Bold was confirmed for the DCU, confirmed to be about Damian Wayne becoming Robin, another Batman and Robin movie has been announced called Dynamic Duo, and this one is a very interesting and unique sounding movie. And in this video, I wanted to go over all of my thoughts about everything we know about the movie and what I think should happen, which characters should appear, when and where it should take place, all of that. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to help me get to 100,000 subscribers, and also for more DCU content. Okay, so first of all, what do we know? Well, Dynamic Duo will be a rare, theatrically released DC animated movie, of which there has only been 3 so far, not including limited releases, and will be produced by Matt Reeves, who has his hands in a lot of Batman projects, also 3 so far, but another on the way, including being the main creative head behind the Batman saga. This movie, however, will not take place in the Batverse. It has not, however, been confirmed to take place in the DCU either, but I think we could assume that it will be. Dynamic Duo is to be written, or maybe already was written, by Matthew Aldrich, who wrote a few Pixar movies, including the Incredible Coco and the not-so-great Lightyear. If Dynamic Duo ends up being somewhere in the middle of the two quality-wise, then it'll be good, but if the writer really locks in and gives us a Coco-level quality written movie, we're in for something very special. Aside from a writer, Dynamic Duo also already has an attached director, meaning it's already maybe further ahead in the process of production than a lot of other movies that were confirmed like a year and a half ago, including maybe The Brave and the Bold, which has a director but not yet a confirmed writer. The attached director is Arthur Mintz, who up until this point has never directed anything, but he is the head, alongside his wife Theresa Anderson, of an animation studio called Swaybox that specializes in puppet animation, specifically using some sort of new technology that maybe they created, I'm not sure, to allow for very expressive puppets, and then using that in combination of stop motion and CG animation to make an entire movie, with Dynamic Duo being their first ever. This animated style will surely set this movie apart as a unique visual experience, possibly, and this might be their goal, of creating a DC counterpart to Spider-Verse, which as a movie and its animated style started a wave of animated movies visually inspired by it. The Spider-Verse style, in my opinion, is absolutely fantastic, it's revolutionary, and it would have been my choice for the basis visually for a DC animated movie, depending on the characters. Like, there was a cancelled Batman Beyond movie in that style that is now such a shame it's not being made, and I think that style could work perfectly for maybe an animated Flash movie, for instance. I will say though, that for a character like Robin, this style in particular could probably fit very well. It does definitely fit a younger character, a kid character, and maybe could be its own version of Spider-Verse that starts a new wave of similarly looking movies. That could be really cool. As for the story of this movie, the Dynamic Duo obviously refers to Batman and Robin, except not in this movie apparently. The focus will be on Robin and Robin, Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, and apparently show both of their origins. It's said that the movie will depict how the friendship between Dick and Jason as youths become tested by their diverging ideas for what their future should be. This doesn't quite line up with their comic histories. Dick and Jason typically have a bit of an age gap, certainly do not have simultaneous origin stories, and they never really had much of a friendship. If anything, because Dick's a bit older, it would be an older brother, younger brother situation, but even then, that wasn't really the case either until maybe it was retconned in later, because during Jason's origin and time as Robin, Dick was typically off with the Teen Titans or as Nightwing. One possibility here is that when they say that it shows both of their origins, this movie will actually take place over the course of a very long period of time, showing the long histories of these two Robins. That is more in line with the comics, starting off with Dick's origin of him becoming Robin, and then later on maybe going off to the Titans, then Jason Todd comes in, and then maybe they have a bit of a friendship that forms. But that actually sounds more like a montage than a movie. What I would prefer is for maybe them to change it up a bit. Maybe this movie will deviate quite a bit from the comics by making Dick and Jason around the same age, maybe combining their origin stories, as pre-crisis Jason did have the same origin as Dick Grayson, and making this version of Batman have 2 Robins off the bat, thus allowing them to give Dick and Jason a true brotherly relationship that they don't quite have in the comics. Then, the focus on their diverging ideas for their future will focus on both deviating from how the Batman operates to 2 different directions, creating a shift between them that maybe even turns them into enemies. Dick will eventually graduate from his Robin role to become Nightwing, taking his name from Superman Stories of Krypton to create a Superman-inspired version of Batman, one who's more lighthearted and inspiring. At the other end of that will be Jason Todd, who maybe never got along as well with Superman, never really wanted to go off on his own with the Titans, for instance, and over the the course of his career as Robin, and because he never really left Gotham, was affected more and more by the darker side of crime, seeing criminals like the Joker escape time and time again just to kill again. He graduates in a separate direction, becoming an even darker version of Batman known as the Red Hood, one who kills. And if I'm being honest, I'd actually prefer they do this without having Jason die, since that element of the story is something that's been adapted to death, and at this point it'd just be too predictable. Like killing Gwen Stacy in a movie, there's no real point to it. If we were never going to see the past of the Bat family, then sure, you could say that he died and was resurrected, but seeing as we're likely to actually see him becoming the Red Hood, I'd like to see that done differently, and contrasting that with Dick becoming Nightwing, as two brothers are led down diverging paths based on conflicting ideals, leading to then a physical conflict between them, sounds a lot more interesting. In the end, Dick might even get through to Jason, turning him back on the path to redemption. A lot of that, like for instance the inclusion of Superman and the fact that I'm assuming that it leads up to The Brave and the Bold, is assuming that this movie will take place in the DCU, which is very likely but not confirmed. The only thing we know is that it will not take place in the Batman saga. James Gunn has confirmed in the past that the DCU will have theatrically released animated movies, and seeing as the Bat family will be already established, it only makes sense. Assuming Dynamic Duo is in the DCU, that means it'll be a prequel to The Brave and the Bold, that it won't take place in the present day, and explore a bit of this version of Batman's long history, including introducing a few more of the DCU Batman rogues gallery like the Joker, and maybe also with an appearance of Barbara Gordon as Batgirl, since it's likely she'll already be oracled by The Brave and the Bold. Another thing is that James Gunn has previously said that characters will have a consistent actor associated with them regardless of if it's live action or animation, but depending on the ages of these characters and depending on how early on the timeline it takes place, they probably will have to cast separate actors to voice the younger versions of Dick, Jason, and if she appears, Barbara Gordon. Like I hinted at before, I would like for the Teen Titans, the original Teen Titans, to appear in this movie, albeit in a small role. What it could accomplish is, for one, showing a bit of the backstory of this universe, maybe showing a bit of Wally West, Roy Harper, Donna Troy, and maybe even Garth. And also, like I mentioned, Superman should appear, and I think it could just fit really well with the story. Dick Grayson allowed himself to be affected by the wider DC universe, by the lightheartedness of the Teen Titans and Superman, but Jason Todd stuck only to Gotham City, never really trusting that other side of superheroics and those more lighthearted people, which led the two characters down the paths they went down, while simultaneously making this movie really feel like a DCU movie, not just Batman and Robin. And with Wally West in particular, I'd like for him to become the main Flash of this universe early on, so this could be a great opportunity to see him as Kid Flash as well. All in all, this is a super interesting direction they seem to be taking these characters and this medium in. I love that they're delving into other genres and visual styles and even other time periods to allow, and assuming it's in the DCU, to allow the DCU to adapt different stages of certain characters' developments without having to wait for an actor to age up to it or for the world to develop long enough for that. And then they could even potentially make a sequel to this that fills in more of the gaps, potentially introducing Tim Drake and showing his time as Robin before The Brave and the Bold's introduction of Damian Wayne. Either way, this is sure to be an interesting movie. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.